Welcome to the Trader at Traitors podcast. I'm Matthew. I'm a writer working in unscripted TV development, and this podcast is dedicated to the TV phenomenon, the Traitors, all over the world. We recap and analyse the main events, the tactics, the gameplay, and this series of the podcast has been dedicated to the phenomenal Traitors UK Series 4. In every episode of the podcast, I have been joined by a different guest co-host. And joining me to go over that final episode, if you've been listening to the podcast for a long time, you know our tradition. There is only one person I could be joined by. Let's find out who that is. It's David Bloomberg joining me today. David, you've been with us throughout the pod, every third episode. You're back for our finale. Welcome again. How are you doing?
Good. I overcame my illness that I had in the beginning of the series and somehow gave it to you, thousands of miles away.
Yes, I've been feeling not that great. The podcast has come a little later than we intended, but I am endeavouring to make it through today. I'm a little croaky, but I think we'll be good. And of course, I've got David to help share the talking responsibilities, so I'll have little rests every now and then. Now, David, a lot of our listeners know very well who you are, but some people may be joining us just to hear about the finale. Huge viewing figures here in the UK. I was on BBC Radio Manchester talking about the pod. Maybe some people have found us that way. So tell us who you are and why it makes sense for you to be on this podcast.
Yes, for those of you who do know me, well, hello again. For those of you who don't, I have been covering reality TV for over 25 years, including over 10 years on podcasts, and before that, online in newspaper columns on my own reality TV websites. Plus, I post reality TV videos on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, where I'm at David Bloomberg TV. And as I say, I will talk about it pretty much anywhere that anyone will listen.
And, I just asked David to introduce himself, and all I said at the beginning was, I'm a writer, I work in TV, and I never say all that much more about myself, but I'm going to take this opportunity to explain why I always say I'm a writer and never anything else. I write lots of things. I write fiction, non-fiction. Most recently, I had a poetry collection published. Oh, it's the kind of yeah, you can see it there. It's called From the Juniper Room. I'll talk a little bit more about it at the end of the pod. But I should really shout this out more often, and I don't pick up my own books that are out. So I'll tell you more about that towards the end. And David, we have an awful lot to talk about. You were last on the podcast for episode 9, so you're going to give us some catch-up thoughts going into this final. We're talking about episode 12. Before any of that, we are going to introduce our famous, I say famous, to me it's famous, podcast game, The Trader Traitor. In this game, we are putting traitors' viewers' claims to the test when they say they could easily spot the traitors' lies and deceptions. Those faithful are all idiots. So we're playing our game of secrecy and betrayal on the podcast. The challenge for David and I for the remainder of this episode is to lie to one another at some point. We have to tell a lie that is a fabrication, a made-up fact. It could be a big lie, it could be a small lie, it could be about the show itself, it could be about anything we feel like. For example, I could lie and say that this is not green screen behind me. I am in the Round Table Hall at Ardross Castle. It's all real. Claudia was there just a moment ago. Someone was sweeping the floor. Oh, you just missed them. It's not fake at all. However, I couldn't lie and say that I was not happy with the outcome of the Traitors final. Oh, I'm so mad. When actually, I'm pretty happy. I like the way that it went. That would be a fake opinion. We're looking for fake facts in this game, false pieces of information, not just pretend thoughts and feelings. Listeners, we want to see if you can put your skills to the test. Maybe something will light up your trader, and maybe you'll catch David Riot out. Then we will play Traitor Hunter in our bonus listener Q&A episode, which comes after this, where we will reveal our lies. David, for the final time this series, are you ready to betray me?
Oh, yes. I've had extra time to think of an extra good lie.
As have I. Ha ha ha. Our game begins now. And before we get into that finale, couple of things to mention quickly. Some of you may be here because you've spotted something on social media. Very excited about something coming up. I just mentioned our Q&A episode, so because we've got lots of brilliant, faithful listeners who send us their thoughts, their questions, their opinions, we have bonus episodes just dedicated to your thoughts and questions rather than just the questions that David and I have. And I have a very special voice note from a very special listener, Zack Polanski, the Zack Polanski, leader of the Green Party, all over UK news these days, is a fan of the pod, has been a fan of the pod for a long time, and Zack has sent us a voice note. I'll give you a preview of it towards the end of this episode, so you can hear some of that Zack's thoughts in the finale, and then in the Q&A episode, I'll play you Zack's whole message. He sent us lots of juicy thoughts and opinions on not just the finale, but lots of things across the series. Before we get there as well, David, of course, you'll have thoughts coming into this episode. Last time I spoke to you was during episode 9. Tell us what you've been thinking. What were you feeling coming into this final?
Well, some of it you already shared. I know that you read some of what I had sent you on the episode 11 podcast. So,
Yeah.
but coming specifically into this one, I, like most people, figured Rachel had blown it.
Yes.
And I was like, she told Steven that if he heard her talking about him, it's because she had to, and that sent his mind reeling. And I was like, oh, she didn't need to say that. And it planted this idea in his mind that she was going to come after him, so he needed to get her first. And this was my thought. And then second, her pushing to murder Roxy, saying that Roxy would never be banished and why, and they aren't going to string her along to the end. And I'm like, why? She is the absolute perfect person to string along. She trusted them both so much that when she got murdered, she literally said she hopes they win. So I was like, this is just bad decisions. You're ruining your game at the very end. So.
And yeah, I thought the exact same. I really thought Rachel had lost it. And as we will talk about in this episode, somehow managed to turn what seemed like weaknesses or bad decisions into a real strength towards the end at that last round table.
I think, and we'll get into this more, I think it's less that and more the editing. I think that the editing, and I realize this partway through here. I don't remember exactly where. It's in my notes somewhere, I'm sure. But I somewhere along the lines, I was like, we're being played by the edit. We are absolutely being played by the edit. And I think that's the case for almost everything that I said there. I think that there was, yes, Roxy was obviously would have taken them along. But that's not just the only thing they needed. They needed some people to divide and conquer.
Yeah.
And also I think we got a lot of out of context stuff from both of our traitors where, yes, they were mentioning people's names and we saw that and it made us think,
yeah, for me, we'll talk about it throughout, but that definitely applies to Steven. I felt like many of his mivs, some listeners still ask me, what do you mean when you say miv? Miv is an abbreviation of master interview or main interview, so it's when the players are sitting in the armchair, they've got the books behind them and they're talking directly to the camera. So Steven's interview clips, his mivs, I think were definitely, like Magicer suggested on episode 11, maybe encouraged sometimes by production. And I think we were given a wrong impression of how prepared or how ready he was to turn on Rachel, and maybe that wasn't quite the case. But, we'll talk about it throughout this episode.
Right.
David, shall we go ahead and dive into the finale?
Yes,
episode 12?
Absolutely.
Here we go. Of course, we begin with our enticing montage, setting the scene, getting us ready for this exciting ep. We've got a montage of some sound bites of famous moments throughout this series, like "You should have killed me when you had the chance" from Harriet, and Hugo. I think Hugo saying, "I'm drunk on power." We've got a recap of our fallen players murdered, banished. Of course, we're reminded of Hugo and Fiona being caught as traitors, and Claudia pretending in episode 11 that they stopped the final murder by succeeding in the mission. Oh, who knew? And of course, David is shaking his head in case you're not watching this on YouTube. And we finished episode 11 on a cliffhanger. It's James versus Rachel and the Chest of Chance because there was a tie at Round Table. And that's where we begin. Claudia is telling each of them, please open your chests in 3, 2, 1. Couple
Which,
of reaction
by the
shots
way,
of both players.
if you say please open your chest, you have to make sure what Traitors franchise you're on, because like if you're on Canada, who knows what's going to happen with Corrine? I mean, she might be wearing a purse on her chest or a board. If you say please open your chest, who knows what's.
Yes. Luckily, Claudia's outfits are a bit more demure than the Canadian host, so maybe not too confusing here. Rachel's biting her lip. James drops his head. And then there's a shot of the empty chest with James's hands in front of them. Rachel has managed to pick that shield. And of course, now when I watched the episode a couple of times and I watched this part again, I thought, God, imagine she'd lost this. What a different outcome we then would have had to the whole show. Like, incredible that apart from all of the incredible, the clever things that she did in her gameplay and her tactics, her strategy, imagine through chance it had just all fallen apart in episode 11 and she was gone. It's wild that it really was just this 50-50 moment.
Yeah,
so James is gone.
David Tennant is finally off the show. I just want to know who he's going to regenerate into. Pop back onto another.
Next series, he'll be back as someone else, maybe.
Yeah.
Like we'll get a Jodie Whittaker lookalike or something.
Yeah.
A Peter Capaldi, who knows?
Now, I know that you guys discussed the whole tiebreaker thing on episode 11 at length, and I think I disagreed with almost everything you said, both of you. I obviously don't like the chance aspect of it. And I believe, now we had a tiebreaker in Ireland, and we had a tiebreaker in Canada. Am I correct in that one?
Yes, I think so.
Canada, and they were both different.
And as we had one in Celebrity UK as well.
Yes, well, Celebrity UK was the same as this one.
Yeah. But so you mean a different way of handling it? Yes.
And I'm struggling to remember. I guess I should have gone back and looked this up before popping on here. That one of them was, I think Ireland was, we're just going to keep doing it until you come to a decision.
Yeah, I think they just kept revoting, and eventually enough people changed that it was fine. It was resolved.
But in Canada, if I'm remembering correctly, she said, if you guys have a tie again, you're going to have to, those two people are going to both be immune, and you're going to have to vote someone else out.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
I like something like that the best. I do think that they should be given maybe a third chance if people do flip their votes and this happens. Because I was waiting for something like this to happen. I thought it was hysterical that two people flipped and it was a tie. Because it takes me back, so I've mentioned this before, my Survivor podcast co-host, Jessica Lewis, was taken out in a tie rock draw, from Survivor. And afterwards, there was one person in the other group who said, I wanted to flip. I wanted to flip and avoid the rock draw. But Jessica was so emotional and crying so much that I was sure she was going to flip to our side to avoid the rock draw, which makes it particularly, highlights especially the most emotional person there ends up, picking the rock. But that he was afraid he would flip one way and she would flip the other, and it would be a tie again, and they'd go to rock. So that's why he stood firm. So I think it's funny that this actually happened this time. Two people flipped the opposite ways.
Yeah.
So saying it's still a tie, well, yeah, technically the number of votes are still a tie, but it's a different tie now.
Yeah.
So I guess I do like the idea. There was one idea you guys said that I did like, which was let the other players talk and come to a consensus, because
Yeah.
that is what would normally happen before a rock draw on Survivor. Is if everyone can reach unanimous consensus, then, well, obviously, except for the two people, who are being targeted, or else there'd never be unanimous consensus. Then, yes, allow that one more attempt, because I'm sure one of the two people who flipped would have gone back and been like,
Yeah.
nope, you're right. Let's just do this. Because, and I talked about this, I remember talking about this in the celebrity version. There's not much incentive normally to change your vote, because it's like, okay. So if either I don't change my vote and maybe someone else does, or I change my vote, but why would I bother changing it? I want this person to go. The worst possible outcome for me is that someone else changes their vote and this other person goes. Well, okay,
Yeah.
if I flip, the same thing's happening. And if I don't change, it's still a 50-50 shot. So there's just not much incentive for a player who is thinking strategically, which I need to highlight that considering what happened here. There's just not much incentive to change your vote. So I want an incentive, and that's why I like the Canada version of the tiebreaker.
Yeah. I guess it's easier earlier in the show when there are more people, because a lot of the people around the table might have voted for a completely different player altogether,
Right.
and so now they are choosing a new person. When it's smaller numbers like this, and you already voted for one of the people in the tiebreak, then you're kind of been forced to do something. But
Right.
if you'd voted for Stephen and he's not in the tiebreak now, it's like, okay, well, you have to pick a different person now.
Yeah.
That's kind of different. This is one of the things that I've had several questions about for our Q&A pod is tie breaks. Are there alternatives? What's a better way of doing it? A lot of people wondering what would have happened if there was a tie break when it got to final four and it's just 2v2. How did they resolve that? I did see one interesting suggestion. Not from a listener of the pod necessarily. It was on I can't believe I'm saying this, but on a Traitors Facebook group, which are often filled with very unusual questions and points that I find it difficult not to respond to in a negative way. But I saw someone post an interesting suggestion, maybe that if there's a tiebreak and you have to vote again, vote in a way that they never do in Traitors, which is a blind vote, like we do in Big Brother in the UK. They vote, but they don't have to show the others who they're voting for, so you know that you could get away with betraying someone or voting for someone who wouldn't, that you can lie about afterwards. So maybe Stephen could have just voted for Rachel without having to face A, the wrath of Rachel, or
Right.
B, other people saying, that's really weird, why did you vote for Rachel all of a sudden?
Yeah.
So I thought that was quite interesting, that you could re-vote in secret and no one would know. Claudia would just say, after that vote, Rachel, you're gone. She wouldn't even maybe reveal the numbers of the votes or anything like that. So James is gone, of course. In this case, he stands up to give his goodbye speech and says it's been amazing. He's learned a lot about himself. He says he feels strangely surreal. And at the first round table, he was selected immediately as and then he tries to be funny or clever and says, traitful. And we get a shot of Faraz, and Jade both jumping forward a bit and then being like, wait, what? Huh? And then he says, faithful. And off he goes, and I thought, James, hey, did you have to be that annoying at this point?
Yes.
Just reveal it and go. Come on, that wasn't fun. So they all look gutted. They can't believe it. They've got their heads in their hands. Jack, of course, feels terrible. He was close to James, and he switched his vote and banished his pal. Claudia reminds them that there will be no murder because they, in speech marks, stopped the murder during the mission.
Yes.
And then off she goes. Jade leaves the round table first. It's all a bit awkward and quiet. Eventually, Rachel tells Jack she appreciates that he listened to her and defended her. Off she goes. Jack and Stephen stay behind. Jack's really upset. Stephen's comforting him. And we move to other areas of the castle. Rachel's telling Faraz that actually she was kind of looking forward to being banished because she would get the chance to reveal she was faithful and just wanted to rub it in their faces. And that ends up being really important.
Yes.
Jack's still really upset about turning on James, of course. Stephen's, you know, I do feel bad for Jack. I'm sure you feel the same way, David. Jack is not really a game player, Jack. And he says, I think,
Just wait till we get to the Q&A podcast and discuss what he said on Uncloaked. Yeah.
Yeah. He says here, this is an impossible game. How are we supposed to know? And I thought, yep, Jack, that is the show. And it is really tough. Being a faithful is so tough. You really are, of course, you're disadvantaged. So I do feel bad for him that he's upset, even though he's not a great strategic player.
Yeah. Now you said Faraz, the thing that Rachel said was important, but the reason is that Faraz says, well, when she said that, I was thinking the same thing. So now I think she may be a faithful. And I'm like, yeah, because there's no way she could have made that up. There's no way she could have said that unless it were true.
Yeah.
It's just not possible.
Yeah. Yeah. He just assumes, if you're thinking that way, you must be a faithful. A traitor wouldn't have that thought process. So he just falls for it. It works. Stephen says this funny thing in Mev that I didn't quite get to grips with. He says, I think I do. It was just a funny way to express it. He says, knowing how the room was feeling about me, it would have just been easier for me to get to the end game by myself. I think he meant, it was that phrase, knowing how the room was feeling about me. I think he meant I was kind of the most trusted person in there, actually. I think he meant I wasn't going to get any votes. I'm now seen as the trustworthy one. And I think he was implying, if I was going to turn Rachel, now was the perfect time to do it.
Right.
Although, don't know if that was the perfect moment. I mean, I think it's still useful for him to keep her for now until the very... If he's going to turn her at any point, it would be the very end to do it. I don't think he needed to do it.
I don't know. I think now would be good because...
Oh, she would reveal. She would say I'm a traitor.
So they would know there's only one more traitor.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
So, or at least they wouldn't know that there were at least two traitors. Let's put it that way, because they can't be sure there's only one more. But yeah, they would at least know they got rid of one, so they wouldn't be as hard pressed. So yeah, and of course,
so maybe the fact that he didn't turn on her at this moment does then prove, well, if he didn't do it now, he doesn't need to do it.
Well,
after.
And that's
so maybe
that's exactly where I started thinking, maybe he's not going to. Yes.
Yeah.
But then this leads to the and I think it's right about now, that the moment that nobody seemed to catch with Rachel, which was in the bar, I believe. She says she feels like everything was manipulated because if she was a faithful, she would murder herself. And I'm like, and she goes, I mean, if I were a traitor, I would murder myself. And we see some cuts of people looking a bit funny, but I suspect that's just the editing. I think it registered with exactly nobody.
Yeah, I think they're all too caught up in what just happened. They were probably only half listening, or maybe players do just say the wrong words all the time, and it's not a big deal when someone says the wrong. And because she was talking kind of hypothetically, if I was you can kind of forgive somebody for just saying the wrong word there. So maybe I should have said this already because I'm going to talk about it a few times. I was watching the final in a bar with hundreds of other people, literally hundreds of people crammed in, watching it on huge big screens like it was a football match. So, of course, people were reacting audibly to all, and this was one of those moments people all gasped at the same time. Like, what? Oh, what did she just do? And it just doesn't come to anything.
Yeah.
And you posted about this online, and I
Mm-hmm.
suggested maybe it did. Maybe someone brought it up later, but it just wasn't a big deal. They didn't include it in the edit. No one cared that much about it. Well, we won't know.
Yeah, and
Uh,
also I think there's a difference between making a slip like this, say, in day one, when nobody has
yes,
anything to go on, as
right.
compared to the last day when people already have formed most of them have formed their opinions of you,
Yeah.
and so I think that there's a big difference there as well.
Yeah. And it's also this around about this time, like you said, yeah, Faraz seems to change his mind because of what Rachel said, and
Mm-hmm.
he says to her, "Oh, I think I made a mistake," and she says, "I know you've made a mistake." So she's he's sort of like, "Yeah, Rachel, yeah, I was wrong," and just one example of people changing their minds and suggesting they're going to vote a different way all of a sudden, and us not knowing exactly what's going on, which is all great TV, by the way.
Yeah.
Like this is what the last episode's all about. People suddenly changing their minds, their hearts, and us, the viewer, not feeling like it's too predictable. I mean, maybe now we could look back, like you said, and like altogether actually, maybe this ending wasn't that surprising, but the
Right.
edit is very clever at stringing us along
Yeah.
and throwing in little lines here and there that make it when we're tense and it's the final episode and we're eager to find out. Any little slip like Rachel's is enough to make us as viewers tense and excited and worried. Jack talks to Jade in the library. He's still really upset. Of course, he's feeling very guilty about James going. And Jade reveals to us, this is not a surprise, it's not that anyone would say this, that she doesn't think Jack could possibly be a traitor. And she still thinks there are two traitors left, which I think is fairly obvious. And tells us that, yeah, she actually had flipped her vote, hadn't she? So
Yes.
she voted, she said this time around she had to vote for Rachel rather than James, even though it didn't work. Rachel's still in the bar with, I think, Faraz and Stephen then, and is saying, "Oh, you can't help but laugh. It's absolutely brilliant." And when she said this, I did think, "Oh, is this an issue that she's saying this?" And it does come. This is something that does come up later, that she's putting a bit of a light heart. She's not doing a jack. She's not crying. She's not saying, "Oh God,
Right.
James, oh I feel awful." She's kind of just laughing it off, saying, "Oh, what's this game's crazy. I can't believe this is happening. It all came down to chance." So this does come back a little. Midnight or whatever time it is chimes, and off they go. Claudia tells us that the traitors, despite not murdering, will still meet to do lots of planning for their last day. And so we meet them in the turret. Stephen, in one of about 20 Miv moments throughout this episode, talks about being very nervous and worried about whether he should vote for Rachel or not. He says he really put his neck on the line to keep her in the game. And he says, "I told myself from the beginning that my moral compass should still be intact. But I need to put myself first and give myself the best chance of winning this game." And yeah, maybe that's just all a red herring and it's a mislead. And I've gone back and forth on Stephen in the past few episodes. Sometimes I'm really mad that he's even considering backstabbing Rachel, and then other moments I decide that's the game. We
Right.
can't be mad at him for playing the game. It's called the Traitors. He's right. You put yourself first. He's not going home with Rachel. He's not going to live with her. They don't even live in the same country. So he doesn't have to really face the repercussions of it. Well, there are some repercussions that he may have faced that I'll talk about later, but he can do whatever he wants to do if he thinks it will help him win the game, and we shouldn't be mad at that.
Right.
And I know some people are. In the turret, then, he is telling Rachel he thought she was a goner, as did she, but um, she says she didn't come to lie down and roll over. She's here to fight her way to the final. She had luck on her side. And again, they're saying, we need to stick together. We have to stay together towards the end. And she thanks Stephen for trusting her, playing as a team. And Stephen does say, if I wanted to take the
Yep.
money, I would have got rid of you tonight because it would have only helped my game. And I made a note here that, yeah, in retrospect, maybe this was the biggest clue. He's not going to turn it now. He would have
Right.
done it now. So
Yeah,
he
and
doesn't need to anymore.
this is about where I started to get to that point where it was like, okay, how many times are we going to see Stephen supposedly hemming and hawing? Now, do I
Yeah.
believe that the thought did occur to him? Yes. Yes, of course it did. Do I believe part of him wanted to do it? Yes. But if there's one thing we've seen about Stephen, he is not the normal, typical vicious traitor type,
Yeah.
And so, like, I even think he said, in I think I saw he said in Uncloaked something like, "Oh, I definitely thought about it. It would have doubled my money." And yeah, you thought about it. You thought and thought and thought, and you didn't do. Lots of people think about doing things. I mean, people who might work in an office and hate their boss think about punching their boss in the nose. That doesn't mean they're going to do it because there are repercussions for that.
Yeah.
People think about things all the time. That doesn't, and yes, in a high pressure situation like this one, even more so. But as we saw throughout the series, that just was not his personality. It was like, oh, maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do this. No, I'm going to stick with her.
Yeah. And I do also wonder if there's an element of Stephen knowing what works well on camera. I don't mean that in a negative way. That's not a criticism. Last time on the podcast, Magicer suggested production probably are encouraging them with prompts like, Stephen, if you were going to turn on
Right.
Rachel, talk us through that thought process. Why might you? And then see what he says. But Stephen is also probably quite good at doing that himself and
Yeah.
thinking it's I think Stephen's partner works in theatre. Maybe he's an actor, and Stephen and I actually have a mutual friend. And when I found out, someone I know said, "Oh, I actually know Stephen." And I asked, "Oh, how does he?" I mentioned this on the podcast before. Stephen had posted a video online really early on in the series. Actually, it was after the first episode of him watching it on TV with his family and friends. At the moment he gets selected as a traitor, and all his families going, "Oh, wow!" and shouting and cheering. And there's a really famous comedian called Lou Sanders who's on British TV a lot. Is there with Stephen in his living room, and so I asked our mutual friend, "How does Stephen know Lou Sanders?" And he said, "Oh, I don't really know, but I think Stephen's quite media savvy. He's in that world, so." Maybe he is just media savvy. He does. I don't know. I don't know enough about Stephen, but maybe he's just good in front of a camera. He knows what'll work well. He's got the right things to say, and I'm sure Studio Lambert were saying yes, thank you every time he did one of these moves. So there's not that much more in the turret. Just more of them. Rachel begging him not to turn on him, and she says she's got no one else to. She's got no other play. Her only plan is to
Right.
stick with him. There's no other way out for her, and she tells us she's hoping that he's got her back, and if he doesn't, God help him, because she will take him down. Yeah, fighting talk. Off they go. Breakfast the next day is the usual routine in the final episode of UK. It's the players coming in one by one, and we get a recap of their time on the show, their motivations, how are they feeling going into the end. I will run through some of the highlights here. Rachel's first. She acknowledges she's here by the skin of her teeth. Of course, she survived that chest of chance. Reflects on being chosen as a traitor on day one. We get moments of Harriet in the confessional, Fiona being revealed as the secret traitor, then turning on Rachel in that wild moment, choosing James to get the dagger, promising to Stephen she'll never write his name down, and so on. And she still can't believe or I still can't believe they got away with those fingerprints on the family tree. And just Reese never brought it up. No one seemed to question it all that much after that night. Maz and Roxy seemed to take the fall for that. They got away with it. Faraz is next. He's proud of what he achieved. He wants to spend the winnings on his family. We knew about that. We see him milking Jack in the gallery mission and telling Ellie he's not arsed when she says, "Oh, sorry, I snapped at you." Hey, he's chill, he's cool, he's laid back. And he's been good in missions, so we get lots of mission clips. Jade comes in, she doesn't know how she's still here. I don't really either. And she reflects on how she's really been accused at the round table since day one. The very first round table, Amanda was coming for her, saying, I think when you took your blindfold off, you looked hot and nervous and uncomfortable. And it just has been coming up over and over
Wait,
again.
Amanda, the
Amanda suspected.
detective who got everything right
Detective,
because she
yes,
knew.
Detective Amanda.
Wow, that's hard to believe. You know, if I know this is going too far, but if I were someone who had been convicted due to like Amanda's testimony, I'd be going back and playing this for an appeals court. Like, see, she framed me. She said I was guilty because I was sweaty, and I mean, I would hope they
Yeah.
had more evidence than that.
I hope so. So, yes, this has been an ongoing problem for Jade. Even comes up again in this episode. And she talks about her self belief developing as well as her close friendship with Stephen, and Jack. Stephen comes in, can't believe he's made it, talks about being an emotional wreck, as we have seen. And he's been part of some of the big controversies of the season: the Cage Nine, the Library Five, Jesse's pursuit of him until he murdered her. And he feels the odds are stacked in his favour now. Yes, I think they absolutely are, amazingly. And he reflects on his promise to Rachel, but of course, again, he needs to think of himself as an individual. He doesn't know what he'll do at this point. Someone called Jack comes in. Genuinely forgot. I was taking my notes. Okay, Stephen's here, Jade's here, Rachel's it. Oh yeah, Jack. Oh, I forgot. So Jack comes in. I thought, I need to keep writing, and he talks about how he's worn his heart on his sleeve this whole time, which has actually probably been one of the problems. And
Mm-hmm.
he hasn't had a single vote at any round table until right at the end of this episode. He gets his first vote, I think. And he messed up with his vote against James, and we get all mission highlights and so on. He does tell us he's sure that Rachel is a traitor, and says, "Us faithfuls, we're gonna be victorious." Poor Jack. At least he's figured out Rachel now. But do you know what? There only are 5 of them. Whoever he picked was a pretty good chance he was going to hit one. So.
So random.
So here we are at breakfast, and Jack's saying he's going to win for James now, and they all congratulate one another. In comes Claudia. Good morning, finalists. Your last ever breakfast. Right now, the prize fund is £76,750, but they have one more mission to top that up. So Claudia says, first, the mission of all missions. I'm glad I'm not in your boat. A boat? No, what's going to happen? Faraz says, we're going to get wet again. Cue 1,000 memes that will probably come out of that.
Mm-hmm.
And Stephen says, I cannot make myself more suspicious by not putting Rachel's name out there today. Which is, it's funny that she said that. When she said that to him, it sent him into this panic. What
Right.
does she mean? Is she going to go for me? But he's acknowledging he has to do the same thing too. He's
Well,
like,
yeah,
I don't have to
exactly.
talk about it.
Exactly. That I think this is what sparked him into it. Whereas we saw it was shown to us as panic that he was going after her. What he just said is the real, this is like the real part of the confessional. I have to do it. And then the rest of the time, they're taking these clips and making it seem like he's doing it to truly throw her under the bus. But no, it's more that he has to do it at this point.
Yeah, of course. There are so few people. It will be blatantly obvious if there is one person you're just ignoring while others are talking about them, and you pretend, I think Rachel's fine. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, he's got to act like he really could vote for her.
Yes.
And he does. He does it very well, especially at the round table tonight. Off we go round to the castle for some reality time. Jade is telling Stephen in the kitchen. It's really made me laugh. She goes, I've had a Fiona moment. and it's just funny because I thought, right, Jade, to you, Fiona moment means one thing. Actually, it means something else to us.
Yes.
So she says, she's had a Fiona moment with Faraz. She's realised Faraz is a traitor. She says that she had when James did his fakey reveal, I'm
Mm-hmm.
ungrateful, or whatever he said. She jumped up from the table, and Stephen jumped up, but she thinks that Faraz didn't react, and we saw him. He did react. She just didn't catch it. So she's realised, it's because he's a traitor. That's why he didn't react. He knew exactly what was coming. So Stephen must be sort of just going, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
right. Great idea, Jade. Meanwhile, Rachel's talking to Faraz in the library and says she has to tell him something in confidence. And says to us, what's one last lie between friends? And she talks again about her expertise in body language and micro-expression, and claims that she's known from day one who one of the traitors is. It's Jade. She talks about how she always clenches her jaw at the round table, and Faraz is going, yeah, yeah, I've noticed that too. You're right. He's just completely falling for it. He's like, yeah, I've noticed that too, and I've thought since this morning that Stephen and Jade, they're in it together. It's them. They're the traitors. So
Mm-hmm.
Rachel's nodding along. Yes, yes. Tells him that she's going to vote out Jade tonight, and then we'll probably go for Stephen after that.
So
And Faraz and Mev says it all makes sense. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. What
yeah.
Rachel says, it's so well thought out. Yep.
I'm trying to remember, and I cannot for sure, but I have this vague memory of talking in a much earlier podcast about my whole thing about body language reading.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like now this could just be, a false memory implanted because I want to take credit for this. But I feel like at some point, either you and I or me and a guest, and maybe it was Melissa B from Canada. This is the memory I'm getting. That we talked about, yes, this body language reading stuff is crap. But if you have a chance to use it to your advantage, do it because
Yeah,
other people believe it. So if you
sure.
can make them believe, they're going to fall for it. Now, again, I can't pinpoint exactly where I might have said this, if indeed I said this. Or for all I know, like I said in my introduction, I talk about this wherever I can. It could have been on a message board. It could have been on Blue Sky. It could have been literally anywhere. But I do believe at some point I said this. And Rachel is doing it perfectly.
Yeah,
I think she took that class fully intending to use it as a faithful, but now
yeah,
she has realized she can weaponize it. And
yeah,
it works beautifully for her because not enough people have listened to me. Body language reading is crap. Do not believe it in the traders unless you're going to
yeah,
weaponize it for your own use.
yeah. I mean, we've kind of mentioned this on this season of the pod with Amanda, that if it was the case that some people can expertly learn how to
Yes.
tell when someone's lying, we wouldn't need juries and trials. Like you just call in the expert. They'll tell us if it's just a sort of abstract. Yes, probably there probably are some clues that some of the time generally tend to be true, and there probably are
Mm-hmm.
people who are very good at assessing some more obvious aspects of body language, perhaps. But there is not a perfect art to becoming an expert in telling when someone is telling the truth or not. I mean, even lie detector tests aren't completely
Right.
accurate, and that's why most of the time, as far as I know, they don't really use them in trials in court. And if they
No, in the
do,
US, they're not
it's
allowed,
not damning evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are people who can fake their way out of even those. So, you can even monitoring your like physical reality, like heart rate,
Mm-hmm.
can be deceptive. But you're right, Rachel. There's this sort of theme throughout this series of UK actually, with Amanda and even with Harry as a crime writer. There's been this idea amongst the players that there are some experts among them, and we must listen to what they say.
Right.
So when Rachel says, "I studied," and she talked about this. She's talked about this since maybe on Unclocked, maybe on she did like a radio interview and said, "No, I did like it was like an online,
Yeah.
1 day course." that was run by someone who used to work at the FBI. But she has spun that to her advantage, and the players have eaten it up. They're like, oh, wow, that's so impressive, that's so cool. They've even believed, it still blows my mind how easily they've believed that Amanda is a former police detective purely based on the fact that Rachel told them it.
Right.
Amanda didn't tell anyone, but they've all, and it was true, and she wasn't lying, but they've all just, apart from Fiona, they've all just gone along with it. That, well, Rachel says she's a detective, so she must be, and if she's a detective, she must have known the truth about how we're all behaving. It's quite sort of like, it's just sort of collective, not brainwashing, but collective fake
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. I mean, it really is, and yeah, it's just, I mean, I remember, not to toot my own horn, although, why not toot. I remember there's all sorts of ways of doing this. Like obviously you don't see it too much on the Traitors, well, at all, but like there's handwriting analysis. And I'm not talking about the type where it's like, okay, this note is here. This is a sample of your handwriting. Is it the same handwriting? Fine. Probably more scientific basis to that. But like, oh, this person writes their letters a certain way, so that indicates their personality. I had a Spanish teacher back in high school who went to a class on graphology and came back. And it was particularly ironic. It was a Spanish teacher for reasons I'll say in a minute. Came back and literally told us, like, oh, well, we can tell from your handwriting this and this and this. And one thing she told us was, if you dot your I and make a circle, like fill in a circle, that indicates this type of personality. And that was when I knew it was immediately BS. Because the reason I did that, especially in Spanish class, was that I had a junior high teacher who, if you just made a dot, she might interpret that as an accent. And in Spanish, if you're spelling a word and the accent is in the wrong place, you got a point marked off. So yes, I started filling in my circles, especially when I was writing for Spanish class. And now here is this other Spanish teacher a few years later trying to impart some bigger meaning to this. And I was like, and I'm sitting there, a high school student going, you're an idiot for believing this.
You an early skeptic.
Yes.
For good reason.
Yes.
Yeah, it's even in the series of the show when we had Secret Traitor and we were trying to all figure out who it was.
Right.
We had some shots of what seems to be the traitor's handwriting on the murder shortlist. And all over social media, we had people saying, well, my husband's an expert in handwriting, and I am telling you for a fact, it's Roxy.
Yeah.
And they were comparing it to their round table slates.
I mean, the thing is,
you were all wrong.
Well, if I were the secret traitor, I'd have written it with my left hand. I'd have slanted it a different way. I'd have written it in cursive, when I normally print. I'd have done anything to hide who I was. You're not going to get caught out that easily.
Yeah, unless I do wonder, did the secret traitor? I know we're going off on a tangent, but I'm sure people are still thinking about the secret traitor. Yeah. Did the secret traitor even have an incentive to stay that secret from their other traitors? So maybe they wouldn't have even cared if the traitors had gone to the effort of memorizing their handwriting and comparing it to the handwritings at their own table. So, okay, the traitors think they know me because of my handwriting. They're going to find me out in 2 episodes anyway. Big deal. No one else is going to see it. The faithful aren't going to see my murder note. So, anyway, in the castle, Jade and Stephen move outside. They're talking to Jack about their new theory that Jade has come up with, that Faraz didn't jump out of his seat like they did, and that means he's a traitor. So Jack replies saying, well, I'm almost certain it's Rachel. And he at this point, I actually just thought Jack's doomed. Jack is, for lots of reasons, he's doomed. Even though he's right, it's Rachel. Your two best pals are telling you they're going for Faraz, so just do what they're doing for now. Like, don't tell them, well, I'm not going to do what you're doing. Yeah, again, for the 100th time I've said on the podcast, Jack is probably a lovely, person. He seems like a really nice guy, but just not the kind of person that would probably have been able to win this game
Yeah.
unless he was a faithful with other brilliant faithful
Well,
who
then he
had,
wouldn't have believed them.
yeah,
He still
yeah.
wouldn't have believed
So
them. Even so, he does not think strategically, and we will see more of this later when people do not think about how to stack their votes.
yeah, and I've seen lots of comments online about Jack, like gutted, so gutted. He was the rightful winner. I wish he had won, and I'm like, well, that's nice if you think he deserved to win because he's a nice guy. I get that. I get like feeling bad for him that he's not won the money, and he seems like a really good person. I don't think he didn't deserve to win this game though. Like, he wasn't better at playing this game than like
Right.
Rachel and Steven. He wasn't even better than Faraz. Probably
Yeah, he's
wasn't even
not the
better than Jade.
rightful winner. He didn't
Yeah,
do anything to deserve to win. This is
yeah,
not a test of who is nice. It is
right,
literally
exactly.
called the traitors. It's not called the faithful. It's not
Yeah.
called the nice people. The traitors.
And it's not Big Brother UK, which is about
Right.
who do you like the best? Who's the nice person? Who
Right.
do you think deserves it? That's Big Brother UK is not a strategic show. It's a popularity contest. So he would have been great on that. Jack could well have won. Jack, go and celebrate Big Brother. You might win that because people like you. You're nice and you're attractive, and people like attractive people. So inside,
That's why they like me.
Rachel, exactly. That's why we're doing well.
Yeah.
Inside, uh, Rachel then tells Stephen that should they get a moment alone. She says, like, I've spoken to, they're whispering, I think, in the bar, maybe. She says, maybe it's somewhere else. She says, I've spoken to Faraz about Jade. And it took me, they're in the library. That's where they are. And she says, is there anybody behind me? I didn't mean she meant literally behind me out the door. I thought she just meant, is there anyone on my side in the game? So
Oh, I know.
I
Yeah.
thought,
I knew she meant
it wasn't
literally.
until it was when I rewatched the episode, I thought, oh, she means, can anyone hear me before I talk more? So I think he just says, no, you're fine. So yeah, the first time I was watching it, I thought, oh, he's saying like no one's behind you in this game. She tells him that the plan is to vote Jade at round table and reiterates to Stephen that I'm going to have to talk about you, but I don't mean it. It's fake. It's a cover
Right.
up. And she warns him again, don't let anybody get in your head today. So that's him told.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for the mission. And of course, as I was watching this with lots of other people in a public place, various people wandered off to get a drink or go to the toilet. And at this point, we've talked about this many, many times in the pod, but I do think it is a problem, and I love the show, obviously, podcast about it, talk about it, post about it. It is a flaw that there's a whole chunk of every episode where you can just skip. Like, that's. I know we talk about it all the time, but I really did think watching this finale, and I was entertained. Like, I found it quite an entertaining watch. Like, it was a big spectacle. Jack says something like, "Oh, it's like we're in Mission Impossible," so it was fun. I enjoyed watching it for the fun of it. But it's a big problem when lots of viewers feel they don't need to watch this whole section, and when they are quite clearly going to win. They're not
Right.
going to fail the last mission. So it
Right.
does feel like at what point in the Traitors, what series are we going to have to get to where they fail a final mission? Will they ever? And if they don't ever fail, how laughable does it get? How ridiculous does it become? Like, what is the point of them doing the final mission? Anyway, that's my little
I
rant.
mean, they
Uh,
didn't get all 20,000 of this mission. They
okay,
only got
true, yes.
19,000.
Oh
So
man, so
So
much
can
was
I
lost.
can I
Yeah,
recap this part because I can do it justice for how fast we should recap it if you don't mind.
go for it.
Okay,
Yes.
they speedboat over to pontoons to get gold before the flares turn from green to red. They miss one, so they only get 9,000 pounds. Then they go around to a dam. They climb up a big rope ladder. The last one, Faraz, makes it with just seconds remaining on the clock. Shocking. And then there's a chance to add another 10,000 pounds if they can get to a helicopter in 5 minutes. The only way to do that is to step off the edge and run down the dam forward, of course, obviously being held by ropes. And of course, they all still make it. There we go. That was the mission.
Yay. Well done, mission over. David, I can skip this whole chunk of notes now. You've done it for me. Yeah, that
Sorry,
is
I didn't tell
essentially
you I
it.
was doing that before you wrote those. It didn't
That
occur
would
to
have
me till
saved
you were
me
like,
all of
till you,
5 minutes.
yeah, till you were talking about how, oh, lots of people skip this. It's like, well, then we can't do, if
Yeah.
a lot of people don't even want to watch it, imagine how it is hearing about it afterwards.
Yeah, there's not really much to say. Just a couple of funny things I noticed where when they complete the first half and they think they won, well, they've won 9,000, and then Claudia reveals, actually, there's a twist. You can get to, even when she said at the start, you could win £10,000, I sort
Hmm.
of thought, is that all?
Me too.
Usually they take them up too close to.
Right.
So then I thought, they're going to do this part and then she's going to double it. Like, I knew already
Yeah.
that's what's going to happen. So when she reveals, yeah, you've got to walk down the other side of the dam, and they all look shocked and they can't believe it. I thought, didn't you see all that rigging right behind Claudia with like crew members standing ready to harness you up? Like, you must have noticed exactly that something was about to happen. Anyway, off they go. I call BS on this taking 5 minutes. Not even 5 minutes. Claudia tells them they've got 5 minutes. They're terrified. They abseil down, they unclip and unharness. By the time they get to the helicopter, the fake clock on screen still says they have a minute and a half left. They
Yeah.
did that all in 3.5
I
minutes.
mean,
No
it's
way.
it's 5 minutes, not including the time to get the gear on, the time to get the
Yes.
gear off. They pause the clock for each of those things, I'm sure.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I do want to add, for the missions, there are sometimes interesting things that happen when they involve shields
Yeah. Yeah.
and strategy and things like that. It's this type of mission that there's literally nothing but run around, and with their budget, which is not huge, for them getting all of this set up, getting speedboats, getting a helicopter, that's, I don't know. Maybe more people do like it than you and I are thinking. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. I know now the show in the UK is aired a little earlier, and lots of families are watching it. So I guess younger viewers think that this is cool and exciting. Okay, fine. If that gets more viewers,
Hmm.
go for it. And actually, this is another element of the show that we've had a lot of questions about for the Q&A bonus ep. Actually a lot of comments about how odd it would feel if players like, and I don't want to stereotype, but players like Fiona,
Oh, yes.
or like Judy had made it to this part. Like, were they going to make Fiona like abseil down a? And I'm not
Well,
saying anything about Fiona's physical fitness. I'm just saying as a slightly older player, like, are they really going to do all this stuff and give them a 5 minute time limit?
and you guys discussed that in the last podcast when it came to running
Yeah,
up that hill.
yeah, yeah.
So
Uh, yeah, some listeners are asking. I mean, that mission has been planned out months in advance.
right.
It takes a lot of preparation, but some people were wondering, oh, if it was a different group of players, would they have changed the mission entirely? Like, did they prepare a totally separate mission? I really don't think they do, but
No.
well, we can talk more about it in the
Right.
bonus ep. So yes, they get to Claudia, they get their money, hooray, flares, woo, smoke. And Rachel gets over her fear. Oh, they almost slip. Oh, good. Right, great fun. Okay, off they go. They've done it. £18,000. Hooray. Helicopter flies off. They get a tour of the hills and the lochs. Oh, Scotland looks beautiful. Wonderful. Uh, I suppose, yes, I have mentioned this as well. If I'm playing devil's advocate, one element of the missions is it provides a little bit of levity. Where we maybe
Hmm.
we don't want an hour and 15 minutes of strategy talk, strat chat, and backstabbing and secret. Maybe we need a little bit of relief for a moment, and it psychologically. Even one of the players made a joke in the car. I think it was Jade and Rachel said on the way there. They went, "We're so great in these missions together. It's just a shame we can't do it at the round table." So part of it is good in that it forces them to work as a cohesive team. To then exaggerate how intense it is when they come into the round table and they have to turn on one another. So I understand that psychological element or benefit of it, perhaps. So, and we even get another moment of Rachel after the mission worrying that this huge prize fund they've now accumulated might be even more incentive for Stephen to flip his vote. And she knows exactly what she needs to do, but it's all down to Stephen. And is his head going to be turned by the lure of the prize and so on? I'm pretty sure it won't. But I mean, I was
Yeah.
still on the edge of my seat watching the episode. But I don't think Stephen would be throwing off his entire plan for some more money. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know
this
personally,
was,
but
by this point, I mean, I had been kind of gradually moving from, oh, Rachel's screwed, to, oh, wait, they're going to be fine. And this was after this, and then as they're shortly after when they get back, which we'll talk about in a minute. I was like, there were so many different plots and plans and everything that I was like, at this point, I truly believe they've overdone the editing to make us think
okay.
that Rachel and Steven will go against each other. And it really reminded me of what happened the previous night. The editing for episode 11. Ooh, Steven's going to go against Rachel. Rachel might go against Steven. Ooh, ooh, ooh. No. And then when we saw it again, I was like, okay, fool me once, shame on you. Not shame on you, really. That's your job. Fool me twice, shame on me. And
Yeah,
so I was like, no, I think that, they're locked in at this point.
yeah. And it carries on even beyond this. So yeah, definitely rewatching it. I mean, the first time I do just get caught up in the excitement of it,
Right.
and I'm biting my nails, and I don't know what's going to happen, and everything that everybody says throws me off. Second time around, I'm sort of a bit more savvy to. Okay, yes, the editing is doing a
Right.
lot of trickery here. Yeah. I'm very cold actually. I'm gonna put on my scarf because to
That's
reflect
your
that the
lie.
fact that
You're
the day
not
is
cold. You just want to put on a scarf.
no, it's to the day is moving on in Traitor's time. It's getting later. It's
Oh, okay.
colder, so the scarf is to reflect that. Back in the castle, Jack talks to Jade in the kitchen and says the traitors usually guilt trip people at the end, and he thinks this is what Rachel was doing. Now that he thinks about it, last night at the tiebreak, and Jade is agreeing. She also points out that Faraz never didn't vote for either of the traitors they've banished. Didn't vote for Hugo. Didn't vote for Fiona, but he did vote for Rachel last night, and but then backed down after they left the room. Suddenly, he thinks it's not Rachel, so that's suspicious. And Jade tells us that yes, she is absolutely suspecting Faraz and how cool and calm he always is. Rachel now brings Jack into her office, aka the library, and I thought she may be really making a big mistake here as well. I guess in the end, no, but because she tells him she's tonight going into the round table for the first time, she won't reveal who she's going to vote for. She's keeping her cards close to her chest, and she says, "I've told Faraz the same." We know she didn't. We know she told Faraz she was going
Mm-hmm.
for Jade's. So I thought this could become a problem. Faraz then joins and asks to talk to Jack alone. Rachel leaves. And Faraz, yeah, then he says, "Look, it's a game of numbers. We need to vote out Jade, then Rachel, then Stephen. You and I win together." And and but Jack says, "Well, I was going to vote Rachel first," but Faraz is saying, "No, no, Rachel's told me she's voting Jade." So he's outed her lie, and Jack's saying, "What? She just told me she wasn't telling anyone." So yeah, I did worry. Oh, is this a problem for Rachel? She's just been caught out here. Are they gonna now team up on Rachel? Actually, get her out? Yeah. So I was worried. David, you're shaking your head. So you thought, nah, she's fine.
Yeah. At this point, it was just, there were so many things pointing so many different directions, and then, Jade and Steven talk, and he doesn't really defend Rachel. And Jade
Yeah,
says she knows he's a faithful. And, there's just, everybody is pointing in different directions.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it is turning into exactly what is good for the traders, which is a circular firing squad. Everybody's
Right.
pointing somewhere else, which is exactly what they need.
Yeah. I know that this is the exact moment in my notes again where I just sort of made a note to myself. Yeah, it's easy to see in retrospect.
Yeah.
These are prime examples of the edit,
Mm-hmm.
and that there's a storyline being spun. They are doing their best to keep us guessing right to the end, but that's not a criticism again for me. That's great. That's what we
Right.
most viewers need. That they don't want predictability. They want us to feel frightened and uncertain, and that's why we love it. It's okay. That's what viewers are responding to. So I'm not criticizing when I say, oh, maybe it was obvious. They've got to keep the most of the
Mm-hmm.
viewers on the edge of their seat. That's what we love. And I am going to play my klaxon, David.
Cliche klaxon.
Because Stephen, I mean, it's not the first time in the episode probably, but it really stuck out to me here that Stephen tells Jade, in the end, he just has to go with his gut. They love saying that. I'm just going to have to go with my gut tonight. Which doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
But don't know what that is.
Yeah.
So, off we go, round table. We have the Hanging Tree song playing from the Hunger Games. It's a staple of the final episode now. I can't remember if they do it in the US one.
Well, they do it every episode in the US.
Oh, it's always there, right? Okay.
Yes.
It's
because they used to play it.
Final.
They used to play it to just the players as they were getting ready.
Yeah.
And then they started playing it for all of us. But yes, in the UK, they save it for the finale.
The final. I love it. It's so foreboding. It's just become this great little audio signal for us. This is it. It's a Traitors final. It's their last round table. It's the atmosphere when that song comes on, when I'm watching it in one of these big live screenings, is so exciting. Everyone is really anticipating what we're about to see. So we've got some final mivs coming in. Rachel's plan is to vote out Jade. Yep, she hopes the boys are going to stick to that too. Jack, I don't even know what Jack said. Just something like, it's so hard to distinguish, blah, blah, blah. Faraz, his plan is to vote out Jade first. Yep. But then Rachel, then Stephen, he wants to win with Jack. And Jade thinks that...
Stephen's comment, confessional, drives me nuts. Because he said he's torn between Rachel and his best friends in the castle.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're a traitor. Either way, you are going to screw over your best friends.
Yeah.
Even if you get rid of Rachel, I'm with my best friends, you're still screwing them over in the end because they're going to be like, yay, we made it to the end. And you're going to be like, yeah, well, except. So this comment, I was like, Stephen, come on, man.
Yeah, exactly. And I think even some viewers kind of forget that he could never share it with Jack or Faraz or Jade. It doesn't matter what order he got rid of them or if he got rid of them. He's won. He's won the show now.
Unless he fesses up and says, vote me out, guys. I'm a traitor, but I can't take it anymore.
Right. Or he drops some terrible, he slips and says something that absolutely gives him away and they catch on to what's going on here. And they would have to do it now with Jade. They would have to do it when it's 3 faithful against 2 traitor. After this banishment, it's too late. Unless Rachel turned on him, but that's very unlikely. So Claudia welcomes them in, and the total prize fund is £95,750. She reminds them of the basic rules. Yes, if there's still a traitor here, they'll take it all, and reminds them that anyone banished will not reveal their identity from now on. Here we go with our discussion. Faraz begins. He tells Jade he is looking at her because of Amanda. Amanda was so adamant. That's quite, and I realise it's hard to say adamant. How adamant Amandament. And Jade's just like, well, yeah, her whole line of evidence was based on one thing from day one, me taking off the blindfold, and she thought I looked nervous. And from there, she just wouldn't let it go and looked for anything else that could back that up. And Faraz says, well, she was just so focused on you that tells a bit of a story to me. And Jade says, you can make a story if you want, but it's not true.
It's a story of confirmation bias. That's what the story is, you know?
Yeah, doesn't mean anything. He also suggests that Jade has... Yeah, everyone who's voted for Jade has, along the way, either been murdered or banished. And she can return to the same thing, which is, well, I didn't manage that on my own. Someone has done that to me to set me up. It's circumstantial. What have I actually done? What have I said or done that you can say, you did this thing and I saw it? That makes me a traitor. And no one's ever really got much of a response for that when Jade
No.
asks them. She comes back to Faraz and brings up her idea that he didn't have a physical reaction at James's reveal. And he just straight up says, no, that is a lie. I absolutely did. It's just one of these... I don't think neither of them is lying. She just wasn't paying attention, I guess. She just didn't notice. We saw it on camera. He did sort of jump up like she did. She just didn't see it. She's too busy looking at Stephen. Maybe he's right beside her, so maybe she just doesn't. He's not.
Yeah.
He's in her peripheral vision. Anyway, he's like, no, you're lying. I absolutely did. Stephen later uses this as a great reason to then turn on Jade. And she reminds them that Faraz is the only person at the table who never voted out a traitor. Therefore, is he a traitor? He was protecting his fellow traitors. Rachel moves on. She starts and says she wants to remind them of a couple of things. One, Amanda was her closest friend. She was a detective who questioned people for a living. And I thought Rachel was just going to bring it back to Jade again.
Yeah.
And therefore, I trust Amanda's suspicion of you, Jade. But she takes it somewhere new that I thought was very clever and says, well, Amanda never questioned me once. If she was my best friend, that's significant. She didn't think anything of me being a traitor. And for this, and for us, that is all just very clever. For this group of people around her, it's great. They just eat it up.
Right.
They just think, yeah, that's Amanda was the super detective. That must be true. She also said she brings up Fiona's banishment and says she was instrumental in that. I know I keep going on about this. She keeps using this phrase that I still think is odd. She says, "I caught her in a lie."
Yeah.
A couple of listeners have messaged me saying, Matthew, I think what she means is the lie is that Fiona said Rachel didn't have a private chat with Amanda about her being a detective. That's not it's like her game. That's just a wrong belief. That's not a lie. That's just
I mean,
Fiona
it depends.
didn't
The way she was insisting it, I could see it as a lie. And of course, I would use it if I were in Rachel's position. I would absolutely use it as a lie. But much like you guys talked about previously, I also was wondering what this lie was, because the way it sounded as she had presented it previously was, I caught her in a lie. So therefore, she then tried to get out of it by making this up about me. And therefore, I called it. So it sounded like there was something else.
Yeah.
And that she caught her in a lie that occurred prior or was private or something like that. That appeared to be the case that she was making.
I found it a little confusing still. But I think you're right. Rachel is just using it to her advantage. And I think she's just deliberately playing. Right. She knows that they believe what she's saying right now, ironically. So her case is, Fiona was a traitor and I'm a faithful. She was lying to you all about me and I caught her. I think that's kind of what she's trying to present.
Right.
And thirdly, and this was what I thought this was genius. She says, look, I'm an intelligent woman. Why would I have engineered the game to end up with no allies? She says, I have no one for a backup vote. Why would I have done this to myself? And I just thought, that's genius. The fact that, we always talk about stringing people along and she should have kept Roxy, and Stephen's in a great position because Jack and Jade are his best friends here. They absolutely trust him. That's so clever of him to make sure they're still in it. But Rachel's turning it round to say, no, I don't have anyone, and that proves that actually I'm not a traitor. Why would I have played the game this way? And I thought that was really a really clever way to flip things around, and I think it works.
Yeah, absolutely.
She also kind of does this. She gives them the impression that that she's accepted defeat. She says, "Look, I'm okay with the fact that I'm probably not going to win." And I thought that is so manipulative at giving the impression I'm just a vulnerable faithful. I'm going to lose. I'm not a threat. And they believe it. It just worked.
Well,
for now they do anyway.
I mean, the funny thing is, not a spoiler for the US, there is someone who did this already in the US who was in fact a faithful and who was like, kind of playing the woe is me card. Except it wasn't a woe is me card. They truly just did feel like, oh, I'm about to get banished, so woe is me. And when we talked about that on the podcast, we said, oh, this would, at least as I recall, we said this would be a good move for a traitor to do, would be to go through and act like this, because traitors typically put up a fight. They don't just sit back and go, I'm gone, fine, well, that's it.
Yeah, I thought it worked perfectly. And Jack presses it a little further, asks her about the round table yesterday and the way that she plead not to take away this Fiona banishment achievement. And he asks, were you just trying to guilt trip us? And she simply says, I don't need to make people... I mean, she just completely lies and says, I mean, I think she absolutely was trying to make them feel guilty, but she says, I don't need to do that. I don't want to get through a game playing on people's emotions. So yeah, she just carries on playing the... I'm a faithful. I wouldn't do that to you. That's not who I am.
I have so much integrity. I'm proud that my kids get to watch me.
Right.
Yes.
All that stuff. Yeah. Stephen then does what he has to do to appear like a faithful, questioning everybody. He attacks Rachel and says, in the bar last night, she seemed to relax. She was in a good mood. We were all commiserating about Jack. You were kind of laughing. In fact, he uses the phrase, you were grinning like a Cheshire cat. Ooh, that is the sound effect of everyone in the bar at this moment going, oh, Steve,
but wait,
that was low.
Did they throw the Cheshire cat amongst the pigeons?
Wait, you mean the chickens, as Stephen would say?
Yeah, well, I don't know. There was both, I don't know which it is. I don't know which the actual phrase is supposed to be, but...
Yeah, I didn't put those together. A Cheshire cat amongst the pigeons. That should be right. That's the name of the episode.
Yeah,
Cheshire. And she simply defends herself by saying, "I wasn't laughing at James. I was laughing about my place. The fact that I was still here because of chance. I just couldn't believe. Yeah, I was just saying it's so ridiculous that this is how it's all turned out." She was thinking about her situation, not James being gone, and talks more about being proud, making her family proud, and so on. And she wants to remind them to look up, look out. Sometimes it's the person you're closest to you need to watch out for. Which is another subtle way of implying, well, that's not me, because none of you are closest to me. So it can't. So it was just sort of subliminal messaging, I suppose. And even from it, I was filled. I was caught up. I thought, is she going to turn on Stephen now? Like, what? Is she sending a message? It's time to vote. Here we go. Jack is first and unsurprisingly votes for Rachel. He feels that he shouldn't have switched last night to James, so he's going to go back to his vote for Rachel, which means he's also still just doing his own thing and he's not doing what Faraz suggested he should do. Rachel's next and votes for Jade and says, at this point in the game, I trust Amanda over anybody else at this table. Jade then votes for Faraz. She thinks that he's the one who's been framing her. He's setting her up for an easy banishment. Faraz votes for Jade, which he said he would do. So he is going ahead with his plan that Jack isn't on board with. The final vote will then, of course, be Stephen, as it is, I think, every vote in this episode. He could either banish Jade or he could take it to a draw. In preparing for Stephen to vote, we know that you could go for like a bathroom break at this point, come back, and they draw these out. It's like at least 20 seconds. Says he has to think with his head, not his heart, and he can't stand.
I thought he was thinking with his gut. Which is it?
Oh yeah, it's his gut and his head, but not his heart. And he can't stand at the fire pit at the end with anyone that he's got a suspicion of, and votes for Jade. He's turned on his best friend. Oh my goodness! So she looks very upset, and of course she won't get a speech. She's not revealing her identity, so she just has to get up and leave in tears. And she tells us she thought she trusted Stephen, but and again, like Jack earlier, kind of just sums up the essence of the game and says, betrayal's really hard. I spent my time playing this game blinded by trust. And I thought, well, yeah, Jade, sadly, that's the show.
I mean,
It's sad,
her
but
whole
that's how it
thing,
is.
though, is she didn't even vote for the person that was discussed the most. She voted for Faraz. Now,
Yeah.
did she have? I didn't scroll back here and check and say, okay, was Stephen telling her to vote for Faraz? Is that why she was mad? Maybe, but
He implied he believed her. He implied, like, because she
right,
says, oh, I've had a Fiona moment, it's for us. And Stephen
yeah,
goes, oh, yeah, and also he's never voted for a traitor. So
right,
he egged her on. So I guess
yeah,
she believed he would do what she was doing. I don't know if he
right.
explicitly said, I will also vote for us. And even if
But
he had, his defense is, oh, I've changed because of what just came up at this round table.
yeah,
You accuse Faraz of lying, and I don't believe
right,
that. So, yeah. Claudia tells them they will face, they'll have the next time they'll see each other is at the end game. She leaves, and Faraz says to Stephen, "I didn't see that coming," meaning I didn't think you would turn on Jade.
mm-hmm.
And Stephen says here now, yeah, it's
Yeah,
because she accused you of lying, and I that made me doubt her. So he's at the same time suggesting to Faraz, well, I trust you so much that
right,
I didn't think for a minute that you were lying, so she must have been lying, which is enough that's all that Faraz needs, I suppose.
right.
Although I think Faraz does end up voting for Stephen after this. Anyway, Stephen tells us he had to make a split second decision again. Cool, was I going to vote for Rachel? Could I do it? And so on. I'll move right on to them leaving the room. We've got Jack saying he just had a thought that if Stephen was able to just banish Jade, considering how close they've been, maybe he's a traitor. But then he stops himself. He's like, no, I can't think like that. No, and I was sort of saying, yes, Jack, you can think like that. That's what's holding you back. You're right. It's not too late. I mean, it is too late, but
Yeah, yeah,
Rachel then meets Stephen in the bar. Yes, this is where she it's her last chance to just insist. She says, "I'm not budging. It's down to you. Don't let your head be turned. I am not moving." She's basically scaring him into not daring to turn on her, which she may need to do. I get it. Like at this point, if that's all you've got left, you just do it. You just make that other person terrified of not sticking with you. And
I will
yeah, she
hunt you
says the plan
down.
is, I will hunt you down. She tells him that the plan needs to be to go for Faraz next, then Jack. And for now, she's going to tell Faraz she's going for him, Stephen. Jack walks in, they return to a pretend conversation, and Rachel's telling us she has to threaten him. She has to make him feel like he cannot betray her because she would be the worst person to answer to afterwards. Faraz and Rachel then do meet up for their chat. She tells her what she told us she was going to tell him, that she thinks Stephen voting out Jade was definitely traitor on traitor, and says, "Do you think that's why she was crying when she left, because he turned on her at the last minute?" And Faraz is just, "Yeah, of course, that's it. You're right. You've got it." And Rachel says, "Well, I'm going to vote for Stephen." Faraz's plan is still to try and get to the end with Jack. Yeah, so I did find this exciting. Like I didn't know what Faraz was going to do. I didn't. Yeah, I was still excited to see this final four vote. I didn't know what was if anyone was going
I
to do some wild last minute change.
see. To me, it was the opposite. The longer those confessionals went on, the more I was convinced that we had been led astray. Rachel and Stephen would get to the end and split the money, because it was just everybody was pointing, like I said earlier, pointing in a different direction. And
Yeah.
so because of that, they couldn't or wouldn't come together as a group. And in this case, the group is only, two people. So, but they just, you had Rachel lying about how she was going to vote. So they thought they had a majority, but no, then they go off in different directions. And yeah, that was one thing that I think in retrospect, we can look at and say, Rachel and Stephen were very good at misdirecting. and just flat out lying and saying, yes, I will vote with you, knowing full well they weren't going to, and that would take away the majority from them, kind of pull the rug out from under them. And then afterwards, there was always an excuse, like Stephen said. I mean, this is not the first time Stephen has changed, quote unquote, changed his vote from what he claimed he was going to do and say, oh, it was because of something that came up at the round table. With Stephen, there was always something that came up at the round table.
Yeah. Even the way that he voted out Fiona back in episode 4 or 5, people couldn't believe it. He was so close to Fiona,
right?
But he managed to explain, no, I had to. I saw what everybody else was bringing up, but that's why I was so upset. I just had to change. But really, he knew she was a traitor, so he knew that this was the right thing to do. So these last final moments before the real end game, I just love watching that. I just love seeing everybody pairing off with someone else and lying. Almost everything everyone says is a lie at this point. It just fascinates me. And we've got Jack talking to Stephen saying, Faraz was pushing so hard for me to go against you to make sure it was me and him. And oh no, I don't know if Faraz is tricking me. And he says to Stephen, it's going to be absolutely horrific if you look at me and say I'm a traitor. And Stephen just does all he can do, which is to flat out deny that. Do you know what? I'm not going to look at you and say I'm a traitor.
That's right.
Which is really funny because he's actually not lying.
He's telling the truth there.
And say that. No. He's like, no, you'll be gone by the time I have to say that. And Claudia prepares us for the end game. We're inside this time. I do wonder if it is just a weather-dependent thing because...
Well, I'm not going to try to claim I looked up the weather on that day and that it was raining out, and stuff, because in fact you can see my background. That it was clear as could be. Which is if you look really close at my background, let's see here. If you, they're there.
Yeah.
That's those are the winners there. Spoiler alert! That little dot on the screen is a.
Yeah, I don't know if I can't say that this is now just a permanent decision because a year ago the end of Series 3 was outdoors, so I don't know if they just I don't know why they sometimes do it inside, why it's sometimes outside. Maybe it's dry. It was just really windy.
That's what I was going to say. Maybe it was windy. That's why they couldn't do fireworks. Although I know you continue to insist they're fake fireworks anyway. I'm still not convinced that smoke in the mirrors was fake. I'm still not convinced of that.
It so is. Anyway,
I don't know about that.
So tonight we're inside. I think I prefer it inside. I actually find it more claustrophobic. It is darker. It also forces them to. They're still in a circle, so it forces them to look directly at one another. The fire pit's more of a semicircle.
I mean, and that may be it too. It may just be a production thing that they did it that way and realized, wow, this is a lot easier. We can control the cameras a lot more easily. We control the lighting a lot more easily. I mean, think about it. If you're outdoors and let's say there's a full moon, and I don't remember what type of moon there was, but the clouds pass in front, the lighting changes. The clouds leave, the lighting changes. So this way you have complete control over every aspect of it.
Yeah. And the celebrity one was indoors as well. So, be interesting to see if at some point they say, let's just always do it inside.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what the end of the US is.
Yeah. We get our final gold chats, as they are apparently called, where Claudia sits with them and has one-on-one chat. I'll just pick out a couple of highlights because they're not the most important thing. Faraz refers again to his family. He's hoping to win with Jack. Jack's gut is to stick with Rachel for his vote. But then he can't choose between Stephen and Faraz, and he's worried he's been strung along by a traitor. You've been strung along by two, Jack. Rachel reflects on her promise with Stephen. She wants to keep that pact, mentions her mum. Her mum has dementia, I think, and that's why she's doing it. She refers to Stephen's head being turned by the money again. And so she knows that Stephen has the upper hand here. He has the decision, really. And Stephen says it's the toughest thing he's ever done, but he's had so much fun. And then has a Captain Obvious statement when he says, I see two paths through this endgame, Claudia. One is with Rachel, one is without. Yeah, no shit, Stephen. Really made me laugh. There's no other option. He mentions the huge prize fund that he could share, or double that is just so much more. No, Stephen, no,
It's
don't be
almost
tempted.
twice as much.
It's almost twice as much, yeah. If you think about it.
Yeah.
Here we go, endgame time. I just love the cinematography in this room, the candles, the flames. It's so conspiratorial. It's almost medieval. We've got these eerie, yellowy orange, sort of Halloween lights. There's this Halloweeny glow to everything. I love it. Claudia explains the end game as we understand it already, right? They choose a pouch to indicate whether you want to end the game or not. If you don't, you're going to banish again. Even if only one person wants to banish again, they all have to do it. I would say that this, I don't even need to go through it. It's the least surprising part that they're all going to vote red, right? Of course they
especially
do.
when they go through and she asks, and why did you choose? And I mean, if it were me, I would be like so sarcastic. I would be like, we know that there were two, and even if Jade was one, we still have one. Come on,
Right,
let's move it along here, Claudia.
Yeah, it's just a rib. Every one of them is basically paraphrasing each other. I feel like there's another traitor. Okay, right, come on, right.
And that's the thing. It's not. I feel like there definitely is. They were not down to one. They know that.
Yeah. So I guess some people are watching the show for the first time, so for them this is new. Okay. Vote 1. Viraz is first. Votes for Stephen. I doesn't he realize Jack is absolutely going to vote for Rachel again? Like I don't know why he didn't vote for Rachel.
This is what I mean when they just keep pointing each other in the wrong direction. We only see some of these conversations, but clearly there was, I mean, first of all, Faraz has said he doesn't believe that Rachel is a traitor and he wants to get rid of the traitor. So he believes it's Stephen. But it's, and then they go off and they have these conversations and they all get pointed in different directions.
Yeah. Rachel then votes for Faraz, which is exactly what she told Stephen she was going to do.
Except Jack looks absolutely shocked in this moment.
Yeah. And her pretend reason is that she thinks Faraz was trying to sway her to vote differently today. Jack votes for Rachel, of course. Stephen has the deciding vote again. And after a long wait, says, Faraz, pal, I'm really sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have a traitor win, right? It's just a matter now of which traitor. Off Faraz goes. Of course, he's not revealing anything. No goodbye speech. Says in his miv to us, it's a hard pill to swallow. But he acknowledges, at least he says, it's completely my fault. He says he trusts Rachel and thinks Stephen's a traitor. Followed by, or you know what? It could be Rachel and Stephen. Oh, yeah, defo Rachel and Stephen.
Yeah. Congratulations,
Faraz, if you had only had this realization an hour ago.
But he couldn't because there were other people in the game. He knows Jack is not one and there's only two others. So he literally narrowed it down to the only possible people. Congratulations.
Yeah. But he does seem like a really funny, nice guy. And I do love that he goes, oh, I'm an idiot. Like he doesn't do he doesn't do a Jack. Right. So he just laughs at himself. And he's been on breakfast news and all sorts since all over British TV and radio, and newspaper front pages have been devoted to the traitors.
Has he been on with his dad, who was also on the show?
He's not been on with his secret dad. He did a little piece with Jade on BBC News where he again was just laughing at himself and said, he talked about his sister. He said his real sister, not his fake secret sister. He says his sister's just been calling him names ever since, and has just been calling him an idiot. And he's like, "Oh man, I'm never going to hear the end of this." So he's having a great time. He's over it. And there's a I know I love all the music in the Traitors. There's this really a fantastic piece of music here that I recognise. It's called Arrival of the Birds. And I know it because lots of people probably know it. I have a writing playlist that I listen to when I write, and it's just full of pieces from mostly from film scores and TV soundtracks, and I've got a couple of the Traitors pieces on there, and so I really love this one. So when it started playing, it's just very evocative, and it's from I think it's from a documentary about flamingos. I'm not kidding. It's like a
Are they
because
arriving?
if they're arriving at this moment, and I think it's a Disney documentary. That might be wrong, but it's called Arrival of the Birds, and it's very beautiful. And Claudia tells them, of course, they could end things right now, or they could vanish again, and the game automatically ends when there are only two people left. They select again with their pouches. They all vote red again. Not really a huge surprise,
Well,
but
you say
Jack could
that.
have voted green.
I think they both should have. I think Rachel and
Yeah, they
Steven
could have
should have
just
voted green because I mean I know they planned out their last vote. We saw them doing that. They didn't need to.
yeah,
If
it wouldn't have made a difference.
so, I was surprised that they bothered to do that.
Yeah, for them it was neither here nor there, I
Right.
suppose. I get well, like maybe if they had voted green and Jack had voted green, maybe they just didn't want to face have to make him,
I mean,
hear
that's
them go
possible
round.
too.
Maybe they were like,
Yeah.
let's just make him go away and
Yeah.
save him the horrible hardship.
Yeah.
He's going to find out anyway, but they don't have to put him through that horrible moment of the reveal.
Well, let me say, yeah, you say that he's going to find out anyway. There was something that Claudia said before the Jade vote. She said something like, they will have to wait until after it's all done to find out, or something like that. And I thought they were all going to end up outside, like they were going to send them waiting outside like they did in Celebrity. So when it ended and none of those people were still outside, I was like, well, wait, where's the payoff here? Where's the part where they find out? I guess that's Uncloaked,
Yeah, I thought we have to just wait for Uncloaked to watch them all come together and have their reveals and so on. But yeah, again, we know the Traitors are winning. When Stephen throws in his red pouch, or Claudia does it for him, he does say, "There's one person in particular that I've seen myself standing here with," and I thought, okay, that he has surely talking about Rachel, for goodness sake. And it's I wondered if it was kind of his little clue for her, just to say, don't worry, I'm keeping the promise. I'm doing it. You don't need to worry. And it's time to do their final vote. There's another piece of music that they always use right at the end, and I don't know the name of this one, but it's really intense and evocative, and it gets us all riled up. They've written their votes. We start with Rachel. She votes for Jack. Cut to obviously some shot of Stephen looking like he's going through hell, and Rachel says, "I voted for Jack simply because I trust Stephen more." Jack votes for Rachel. Yes, he's going to stick with that. It's all down to Stephen. And it looks like he can't even look at her. He's swaying on the spot. He's looking at the ceiling. He's got his hands on his hips. And eventually he says, "I came into this game and decided I would play a fair and honest game. So, for reasons that will become clear..." Pause, dramatic. Shots of different people. Rachel looking like the most ill and nervous I've ever seen her. Stephen votes for Jack. The crowd cheers. We go nuts. Woohoo! They've done it. Oh my goodness. Claudia says, "Well done, Jack," but he has to leave. He goes off, of course. He's not revealing anything, and tells us in his miv, maybe they're both traitors and agreed to win this game together. Oh, Jack.
No, and he says, who knows? Who knows?
Who knows?
And I'm like, yes, who indeed? Who indeed could possibly know?
Poor Jack. We can relax now. We just get to enjoy the last few moments. Back to Rachel and Stephen. Claudia saying, "You did it. You've got £47,875 each." She's crying. They hug. Rachel tells Stephen, "I thought when you weren't looking me in the eye, you changed your mind." And Stephen says, "I was just pulling your leg." And he he says here, I did consider turning on you a couple of times, but I couldn't have lived with myself. I couldn't have broken our promise.
I'm sure that's it. He couldn't have. He really couldn't have. Based on what we know of his personality, he could not have. He is the most faithful traitor ever.
Yeah.
Now, did this surprise you that there was no Split or Steal?
Oh, yes. So this is another big talking point for the bonus episode.
Right.
Actually, when I was watching it, it didn't even occur to me that it was possible. No, it didn't surprise me. I wasn't expecting it.
I was, because we were unaware of anything that this was gone now. So when I expected them to do the split or steal, and they both agreed to split, and everything would be fine. Okay. But then there was someone who posted, and this was on Chat BCC. Someone posted and said, this has been gone from the Traitors franchise ever since
Australia 2?
Yes. Well, it's Australia too. It's years ago. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm sorry to mention it. You're just going to have to live with the fact that we talk about series long after they're gone. So, yes. And my thought was immediately, well, in the UK, they didn't want to have a show where people literally won nothing.
Yeah.
Plus they saw what happened after Australia season 2. The show was canceled. So, but then someone posted and made it sound like it was very official. And they even quoted something that made it sound like there had been a statement put out indicating this. Now, here's the thing. I asked them, where are you getting this from? Is it an official thing? And they never responded to me, even though I asked more than once and tagged them and everything. I'm like, where are you getting this? And they never responded. So I don't know if they made it up, because this seems to be a very responsible person, I will say, in case they're listening to this. I'm just confused by why they didn't answer my question as to, is this your conclusion, or did you find this somewhere?
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer to it. But the fact that you hadn't heard of it, I hadn't heard of it, nobody else anywhere mentioned it but this one person. I feel like it just, I don't think it was official anywhere. I think that, maybe unofficially, and maybe this is the reason, maybe they know something from behind the scenes that I don't know. But I feel like I also think that, I really think that in the UK that would go over even worse than it went over in Australia.
I didn't, for those reasons, some of those reasons, and actually another reason that a listener has reminded me of that I'll bring up in the next step. I didn't expect it at all. I'm going to do something a bit unorthodox, David. Live on the podcast, I am going to use my phone, my Trader phone, and consult Magiker by sending a little voice note right here while we're recording. Hi, Matthew, other Matthew / Magiker. I'm recording the pod right now. I'm here with David, although I have my headphones in, so if he tries to speak to you, you won't hear it. We are recording, and I've decided that this is a great moment to send you an audio, because we're talking about Split or Steal. I'm asking you, Magiker, because you have seen 38 international versions of the show. Is Split or Steal still in existence on any of the current seasons that you know of? We've had a listener who claims it has officially been removed from all versions of Traitors around the world. Maybe you can give us info otherwise. Bye. There we go.
I want to see that phone. I want to see the front of that phone to prove that there was a voicemail sent there.
Well, no, because I'm going to keep that as a potential to... That's
I'm demanding. I demand to see the phone.
But then if I show you, you'll know it's not my lie, and that removes a possible lie. I want you to guess something that isn't a lie. I don't want you to win, so I'm not going to show you, David.
That's it. I'm gonna message Magiker and ask him.
That's not a lie. That's cheating.
It's not in the rules.
By the time we do the Q&A app, Magiker will have got back to us with, I'm sure, very valuable insight. But as for the final few moments of the ep, we leave the castle. We've got mevs of the Rachel and Stephen talking about how life-changing the prize money will be. They're hugging. We come outside. They're celebrating with Claudia. They're slow motion down the corridors. It's just the perfect ending. We've got the music, the slow motion, the cheers outside to the traitors with champagne. Rachel says she's looking forward to not having to lie anymore. And as we draw away from the castle in a drone shot, we hear them shout, "We are the traitors!" Over and out. So, David, predictions. Who's going to be murdered in episode 1 of Series 5, Traitors UK? Who's going?
I think the person who looks flush when their blindfold is removed.
Yes, it's anyone that looks like Stephen or Alan Carr. They are first out next time.
Yes.
That's they've set a bad precedent.
Yes.
Yeah, normally it's predictions, but we're done with the series. We've made it. I mean, we're not done with the podcast again. Well, I'm sure you've got some final thoughts on this episode, this season. We've got our bonus episode that's just devoted to our listeners' thoughts and opinions. I've mentioned that Zack Polanski is a fan of the pod, loves the Traitors. He's even spoken about the Traitors in at least one interview on TV. So, well, first of all, David, give us your any final thoughts you have about this episode or the whole series.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice to see a completely different ending than we've had before. That's always something good. We're running out of those possibilities. And, like they said at the end, they were traitors, but they were completely faithful to each other. Yeah. And I know that there have been some people who were mad and thought Rachel should have been knocked out because she was, I don't really understand why, but, or that she should have turned on Stephen or whatever. But no, they were faithful to each other. And because of that, they were able to lead the actual faithfuls astray in the votes until there was literally nothing they could do. So, yeah, congratulations to them. I thought they were a great traitorous duo. I do think that some of it, well, if not a lot of it, was because of the secret traitor twist, because that bonded them immediately. Yeah. You didn't have to think about, oh, one of these other traitors is coming for me, because there was the secret traitor who was apart, and that made them more likely to stick together against that person.
Yeah.
And so even when she was revealed, it was like, okay, of course, then when she turned on Rachel, and Stephen still stood by Rachel, even though he was friendlier with her, I think that really bonded them for the rest of the time. I think that did it. I will say, and we've talked about this already, props to the editing team for keeping us guessing for the last 2 episodes. Like I said, I pretty well had it figured out for this one, but only because I saw what they had done last episode and could read the signs of the same thing happening again.
Yes, I agree with all of that, and I will probably talk a lot more about my overall thoughts on these 2 particular traitors in our bonus set, because we've had so many questions about Rachel and Stephen, particularly in how they played the game and whether or not one or both of them are the best traitors we've ever seen. I'll say now, my opinion is that Rachel was the stronger of the 2. I think Stephen did a great job, particularly in the second half of the series. And I know Rachel messed up a couple of times, perhaps, unless getting rid of Roxy was part of a plan to then say, why would I have gotten rid of my allies? I don't know if she actually had planted that. But besides that, I think she had so many great moments and little ploys and tricks that I think she's the best traitor in UK we've seen. And I'll talk more about why that is on the bonus set, perhaps.
Oh, you'll get feedback about that, I guarantee.
Oh, yeah, I've already seen lots of anti-Rachel, Stephen should have just screwed her over, I hate Rachel, stuff that I just can't even entertain. I love the series. Lots of people asking, lots of people saying best series ever, my favourite ever. When I was on BBC Radio Manchester 2 days ago, and it was the first thing the host asked me. Phil said, "Matthew, was this the best series ever?" And I find those questions quite difficult to answer. I don't know if I've got seasons that I say they're up there. They are some of my favourites. Actually, doing a ranking of first, second is really tough, and so I don't know. I don't think I'll ever answer that. It's probably in my top 3. I think I really enjoyed it. Some incredible standout moments that had everybody talking. Moments that we'll remember for seasons to come. Loved Rachel and Stephen as a duo. Particularly loved Rachel as a traitor and thought she was so clever and crafty. Apparently, she did play lots of werewolf and mafia to prepare for this. Someone told me. I don't know where that. Someone just said that to me. I don't know the source. Right. I'm assuming maybe she talked about it in Uncloaked, and I can't remember. Maybe she said it in a radio interview. But that absolutely would make sense. And yes, I'm very positive coming out of this series.
Yeah.
Secret Traitor is one of the big talking points. I liked it more than I thought I would. I don't need to see it come back.
No.
If it comes back, leave it a couple of years and change it a little bit. And again, lots of listener questions to come. I will play as a little preview of what Zack Polanski has thought of the show, and I'll give you some of his thoughts now. You'll have to listen to our bonus episodes to get all of Zack's thoughts because he had a lot to say about the series. So let's listen to that now.
Hey Matthew, hey Trader listeners. First of all, I love this podcast. Whenever I'm cycling around or on a long train going somewhere around the country, listening to the sweet sounds of Matthew and Magica or David or whoever it might be in my ear is always very much appreciated. I've loved this season of The Traitors. Who doesn't love a season of The Traitors? I thought it started off incredibly strongly. Like the podcast, I was also worried about the Red Cloak and the Secret Traitor, but actually I think it ended up being one of the best things about the series. I would almost argue, I can see, well, it was obvious why it was revealed quite early on, but I think the series lost a little bit of suspense in the middle, and at the end I felt the editors were making it really obvious that this was going to be a Traitors win, because they were pushing Stephen and Rachel's kind of relationship at breaking seams in those kind of edits that we kept seeing, but I just didn't buy it, so I kind of knew they were going to win. But then sometimes they double bluff you, so who knew?
So there's a little preview of some of Zack's thoughts. He's got several other hot takes on this series, actually, but interesting to hear that Zack was in line with you, David, that he thought he could see the tricks of the editing and realise we were probably being pushed in another direction to fool us a bit.
Okay, now I have a very important question here. Didn't you say he's like a member of the Welsh Green Party?
Now he's the leader of the Green Party throughout UK, but
okay.
Before he was in that position, he sort of, unless I'm wrong, I think he kind of worked his way up and was deputy leader of the Welsh arm of the Green Party.
Okay, because
completely wrong. I'm sorry.
we've had these discussions before, and where picking out specific accents is not great for me, but that did not sound like a Welsh accent to me.
No. Not a Welsh accent at all.
Yeah, because I ran out of shows to watch. Honestly, I ran out of shows to watch, and I got BritBox, which I do. I wait till it's on sale every year, and I wait till it's on sale on Amazon. And lucky for me, during this off month that we have here, BritBox came on sale for me. So I was like, perfect. And then I zipped through Return to Paradise. I don't know if you know that one. That's Australian BBC. And, another couple. And then I saw this show called Death Valley. I don't know if you're familiar with it at all.
I know Happy Valley, but not Death Valley.
Okay, so Death Valley is a Welsh-based show. It is about a Welsh detective and a Welsh actor. I'm not sure if the actor's Welsh, but the detective definitely has a very strong Welsh accent, as do most of the people in the show. So I was just watching that last night, and I was like, okay, Welsh accent. I was going to make a joke about how I know that all of the Welsh people are trustworthy because we had that happen last season on the Traitors, where there was someone faking a Welsh accent. And I'm like, but this is a show about Welsh people murdering. So clearly not all of them are trustworthy, at least in this pretend show. So anyway, that's why I just noticed did not seem to be a Welsh accent, which yay for me
No,
for
not
picking
at all.
up that was,
Well done. No, not a Welsh accent at all. And even some areas of Wales, people, they're even within Wales, there are wild variations in accent. Some of them are particularly noticeable. Some of them
Mhm.
I would not distinguish the difference between English and Welsh. That's just me as a Scottish person. But um, Zach isn't Welsh, and I have done a little check that maybe I'm being thrown off because the Green Party officially is the Green Party of England and Wales. And so
Ah,
he is leader of the Green Party of England and Wales, and then I guess the Greens in Scotland have their own sort of separate
okay.
group. And I'm reading here that after he announced his candidacy as to be the deputy leader, the Wales Green Party gave their endorsement of his candidacy. Um,
Okay.
so maybe I've seen that and I've thought, oh, he was the Welsh Party, and then he moved. Sorry, experts on Zach who are listening.
And sorry,
If I
Zach.
have confused
Sorry,
you,
Zach, if
and
we've,
sorry, Zach.
messed
We've
that
cleared
up.
up.
So,
We've cleared up.
yeah.
And David, I'm giving away now that it wasn't my lie and that I was genuinely sending Magiker a voicemail.
Or you're
It's
doubling
wo-
down. Or you're
or
doubling
I'm
down.
doubling down. I think it's worth the reveal to give you his reply. Magiker says, I've not seen Split or Steel for ages, but it is quite rare that multiple traitors win.
Right.
I do associate it with Australia. I feel like it's retired. And he says, like I always said, it's usually a horrible way to end a season. So he feels like he has not seen it for a long time. So maybe it is sort of unofficially retired from
I
the
mean,
show.
if there was any season where it was going to end that way, Australia season 2 was the perfect season for that to happen. But yes, I don't think people like to watch a whole season of something only to be told, nope, everybody goes home with nothing. See ya.
Yeah.
Bye.
Exactly. Yeah. And there was another UK show that became a bit infamous for doing something very much like that I'll tell you more about in the bonus ep.
I feel
We
like you've
are
mentioned
not.
it before.
I probably have. Yeah. We've got more to talk about for this finale because our listeners have sent us so many interesting thoughts. So yes, we will be back for that, and I am going to keep everybody waiting for that. For us to conclude the traitor, let's hope David and I don't figure it out between now and then, and that listeners don't send us messages saying,
No, let's hope Matthew
I
doesn't
figured
figure it
it
out
out.
yet. And if anyone wants to help me out, I am open to it. It is a traitorous
No,
game. So just don't
no,
help
don't help
Matthew.
him. No,
Don't
don't
help
you dare
Matthew.
turn back on. We made a promise, listeners, you and I, at the start of this podcast series that we would stick it out to the end. So don't you dare turn on me now.
No. Stay faithful to me.
David, it's not just Traitors UK that you are covering and talking about online. Tell us what else you're covering and where we can find you.
Well, let's see here. In a couple of days, I'll be talking more about Traitors UK with you right here on the
Yay.
Q&A podcast. And then a day after that, I'll be talking about the Traitors US with you right here on the Traidar podcast. So yes, Matthew will be returning to the Traidar podcast for the Traitors US. We will be talking about all of those things. And then I should have sometime around that same time, a Survivor 50 preview show about a particular player who will be on. That should show up in the RHAP feed for that. I have already recorded it, but there's a whole bunch of them coming out in a row. So yes. Plus, of course, I am doing my TikTok and YouTube videos where I'm at David Bloomberg TV. Although right now, TikTok in the US, I know this is a UK show, but for those of you in the US, TikTok in the US is going through things because that part was sold and they seem to be fairly technically incompetent. So you may not be able to see videos, especially if you're outside the US. But like I posted a Traitors UK video, and it now, as of now, before we started recording this, it had 0 views. Now it has 1 view, and I posted it 27 hours ago. So someone must have found it directly somehow. I don't know how. But yeah,
Maybe it was me.
yeah, could have been. Well, you're in the UK. I've heard that people outside the US can't even see it. So, so yeah, it is, so yeah, but it's still on YouTube and it's on Instagram as well. But, what are you going to do? Once it's fixed, you will find all of my videos back again on TikTok and YouTube. And it's funny because Instagram likes to censor the things that I can say because it sees the word traitors, and it pops up a message and says, this sound has been reported before, so choose a different one. Or a sound with a similar name has been reported before, so choose a different one. And I'm like, seriously, people, it is a TV show. I am not talking about politics here. But in addition, for the Traitors US, once all of that is, settled, I'm doing mini Y blank lost videos for each player murdered or banished. Again, that is for the US, and you can find that anywhere, plus some for Beast games. And I will be doing more as we proceed towards Survivor 50. In about a month in the US, we are going to have one heck of a week. I did a video on this because Traitors US is ending. Beast Games is ending. Survivor 50 is starting. House of Villains is starting. Australian Survivor is starting. Within the period of about 4 days, there will be over 11 hours of reality television to watch. So that is, like I said, in about a month. And of course, you could find all of my accounts at Linktree/David Bloomberg.
Good luck covering all of those shows at the same time.
Unfortunately, I'm probably going to have to cut back on some of what I cover with that. But yes, it is going to be a lot. I don't know. I do know why they wait. They're waiting till after the Olympics, pretty much. But still, like Australian Survivor airing the same time as US Survivor 50, that just seems to be a bad decision. I don't exactly know why they're doing that.
That is a lot. And like David said, I'll be back here to, first of all, do our Q&A episode on Traitors UK finale, and then I'll be joining David for Traitors US, which I hope is coming to BBC iPlayer at some point soon. Traitors Ireland is now available on BBC iPlayer, and a lot of people have started watching it. I recommend you do the same and then listen to all of our coverage, because we have covered the whole series already. I have interviewed some of the contestants from the show. So actually, in the next few days, I will probably upload those, and you can listen to them. There won't be, I won't put spoilers in the titles of, don't read anything into why I am interviewing particular players. It doesn't mean they're the winner. They got banished at the end. They're just interesting players who wanted to come on the pod, and.
But presumably there will be spoilers in the interviews.
Yes. So at the start of every interview, I'll say, stop listening now if you... Well, actually, yes and no. I don't talk to any of the interviewees about anything that happened beyond their time on the show. So if you watch until someone has been eliminated, you can go to the interview I do with them.
Yeah.
And it's okay if you haven't watched beyond that point. And so I don't talk about anything with the players beyond their time to actually avoid spoilers. So you're all good. You're all good.
It's funny because apparently this appearing on BBC iPlayer has confused the app that I use to track my TV viewing. It's called TV Time, because it popped up yesterday when it showed up on BBC iPlayer. It popped up, Traitors Ireland Season 2. I'm like, I don't think that's right. I believe that you have messed up there somehow, that this is not Season 2. I think I would have known if this was Season 2.
Yes, not even been filmed yet, and your app knows about it. So
yes.
So I'll be covering Traitors US, lots of Traitors Ireland content you can listen to, and interviews. Beyond that, I am going to host an online game of the Traitors. I'll give you more details once it's been planned and prepared. I think maybe I was a little vague about that when I mentioned it on the pod before, because one or two people sent me a message saying, "Oh, is it in person? I don't think I'll be able to get to London." It's not in person. We'll do it online. You can join from anywhere, as long as you're in a time zone that will kind of suit. I'll try and pick a time that maybe even people in the US or Canada can join, and
Yeah, maybe I
work.
can.
So
Maybe I can hop
maybe
in there.
David
We'll
will
have
even
to
be there.
see.
Ooh. Yes.
Or I'll be like
So
Dr. Will in the Traders US, and I'll just make an appearance, and not
you'll show
actually
up for
play.
one mission and then leave. Yeah. I'll give everyone details once that is ready to go. I mentioned this at the start of the pod. I'll mention it in a little more detail now. I'm a writer beyond working in TV and beyond podcasting, and this is the most recent book I published. It's called From the Juniper Room. It's a collection of poetry that I'm really, really proud of. It came out a few months ago.
Can
I
you hold
had
that
a
up
couple of
again?
launch. Oh,
Can you hold that up?
yes. Why was it?
I
It
want you
looks
to
a
turn
bit like
sideways. Well, turn sideways. I want to see if that's you.
it's not me,
Oh, okay.
or is it? It does
Oh,
look a
I may
sort
have
of bit
just set
like
you up to
traitor.
lie to me. Yeah.
It's quite traitor-like, this image on the front of the book. And yes, I did a couple of launch events in Scotland and London. I would say here in London, but I'm not actually in London right now. And
You're in
yes,
Scotland. We can see by the background.
exactly. I'm in Ardross Castle.
Yeah.
The poetry is about some sad things, grief and loss. It's also about memories. It's about family. It's about travel, nostalgia, and it's if anyone reads the crime writer Alan Gaw, who's doing incredibly well right now with his detective series, uh, I know Alan, and Alan has a quote on the back. He's endorsed the
Wow.
book. He was really, really encouraging about it, as well as Christine Boville, who's a really well-known singer who has won numerous awards and travels around Europe and other continents, mostly singing in French. Even though she's Scottish, she's incredible. And so they had the book in advance and gave me lovely quotes for the back. You can follow, if you want to know more about it, follow my personal page on social media, which I also never really shout out that much. It's really easy to find. It's on all the podcast's social media. It's at Matthew J. Keeley. You can see some videos of me reading poetry. And if you want to know how you could get your hands on the book, just send me a message. You can buy it online. It's on the publisher website, which is Drunk Muse Press. Their website is just drunkmusepress.com. If that's an issue with posting and some packaging and shipping prices, send me a message if you want to try and get a copy of the book, and I'll see if I can make it a little easier. So at Matthew J. Keeley is me on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, Matthew Keeley Writer. I don't post as much on there. TikTok is the same, at Matthew J. Keeley. Don't use it as much as Instagram. As for the podcast, it's at the Trader Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, where I'll, continually put up updates, share news. Like today, I shared the news that I didn't know about this really, and I had a little hint of it, although I misinterpreted it. There is going to be the Traitors on stage. They're doing a sort of interactive stage version in the West End in 2027. I don't know much about it other than that it's a year away, and it's there's a trailer for it. You can sign up for alerts. I did that straight away. If you go into Studio Lambert's Instagram page or just Google it, Traitors on stage, email sign up, and you can sign up to find out about when tickets are released and all that stuff. So that's really cool. I'm sure we'll be talking a lot more about it on the podcast. I will definitely be going. Very exciting. So yeah, I post any Traitors news. I'll post about it on social media, and we've still got a couple of days, maybe, depends when you listen to this, to send us your last minute thoughts and questions for our bonus episode. We've already got a hell of a lot, but hey, maybe you've got some amazing question or insight that no one else has brought up yet, and we will have no choice but to include it on the bonus ep. So you do that on social media or just email me at thetradarpodcast@gmail.com. Or you can do what Zack did, Zack Polanski, leave us a voice note. That's cool if you get to say I was on a podcast with Zack Polanski. So
There
you
you
can
go.
visit memo.fm/the Trader Podcast. Or if sometimes that seems to have an issue on iPhones, send me a voice note on Instagram. I could get it that way as well. That's a really easy thing to do. As always, if you can subscribe, if you can leave reviews, it's really, really helpful wherever you're listening. Final couple of things. You could support the pod by visiting thetrader.redbubble.com and acquiring some lovely merch to celebrate and show how much you love the pod and how much you love the show. And you could also visit coffee.com to put in a donation of your choice as a one-off, just to say thanks. If you can't manage that, that's okay. Just sharing and subscribing the podcast is super helpful too. It's ko-fi.com/Matthew Keeley. And a few people have donated in the past couple of days, which is really kind. So thanks to Jack. That's J-A-C, not J-A-C-K. It's not Jack from the show. Jack, who
I don't think
comments a
Jack
lot
from
and
the
is-
show will be donating to us anytime soon. I know.
Probably not. Jack says, "Thank you for another great season/series of the podcast." Nutmeg House Bear, faithful listener, says, "Once again, I've been enjoying coverage of the Traitors UK. The deep dives and thoughtful analysis bring extra layers to the viewing experience. From the tactical breakdown of or game of deception, I find myself looking forward to the pod as much as smoked salmon at breakfast." Liz says, "Hi Matthew, so enjoying listening to your final UK pods on this sweltering Australia Day long weekend." She says it was 44 degrees Celsius in Adelaide yesterday, not my lie.
Okay, it was
Liz,
when I woke up this morning. I just want to say it was -6 here.
oh God, that's-
-6, and that
Yeah.
is Fahrenheit. So I don't
Yeah.
even know what should I Google that? I don't even know what is. Hold on a second here.
From one
-6
extreme to the other.
F2C.
Below
That
freezing
is
where you are.
-21 Celsius.
Oh wow, that is crazy. That's unbelievable. Yeah, I saw on the news there's all sorts of like snowstorms and stuff in the
Yes,
States.
we also got more than 6 inches of snow and -6. That was not the wind chill. That was not the wind chill. That was the temperature when I woke up
actual
this
temperature.
morning. Yeah.
Well, I thought it was cold here, nothing compared to that, David. But
Yeah.
on the other hand, I also don't want to be in 44 degrees Celsius in Adelaide. So Liz, well done
That's-
for
yeah.
coping with that.
I don't know what
And,
44
finally-
degrees is, though. That sounds hot.
Mega hot. Hotter than anything I have ever experienced in any country in my life.
Let me
And-
hold on. Let me see if I can switch this. Oh, that's 111 Fahrenheit, according to
That's
Google.
hot.
That's
That's
kind of hot. Yeah.
We also had a donation on coffee.com from Pete. Pete says, "Enjoyed the podcast again. Thanks. Listening in HK, which I'm assuming is Hong Kong. So, hey, Pete, that's really cool. All around the world, Australia, Hong Kong, the States. This is really cool. Thank you, everybody. And for the 100th time, we're going to be back with your questions on the bonus ep, and we're going to conclude the Traitor. David, in case people go mad and don't listen to that episode, I'll say thanks to you now here. Thank you for joining me on this ep, and on 3 and 6 and 9. We'll be back with US Traitors as well. Until then, everybody, laters, traitors.
And stay traitorous.